Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again for another First Impression Fridays. Today we're going to talk about Sublime Vanille by Creed and Mancera's Aoud Vanille. So stay tuned for that. And if you like first impressions, cologne comparisons, fragrance reviews, and top 10 lists, hit that subscribe button for more great content. Right, so a lot of people have talked about Sublime Vanille by Creed as either a great layering fragrance or a great fragrance for vanilla all on its own. So it is one that I did want to check out. It is one of the more highly talked about or recommended Creed fragrances, so I definitely wanted to try that one out. And I wanted to pair it with some other vanilla fragrance, and Aoud Vanille sounds like a good fragrance from Mancera. Not really sure what to expect from this one, but I am definitely expecting some kind of woody vanilla fragrance, obviously with the name, but names can be very, very deceiving. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So I'm going to start with the Mancera Aoud Vanille and see how it works out. So let me just put a little bit here on my hand. Whoa, poured way too much on there. Way too much. So let me just give that one a second to dry down. And, this one is a slightly brownish liquid. I find sometimes with woody vanilla fragrances that you do definitely get a little bit of that coloration. So I'm hoping that this one will be a woody vanilla fragrance. I don't know if you can see that, but that is a lot that I poured on my hand. And, right away I definitely get a woodiness, and it is a lot more prominent than I was expecting for sure. So the woody vibe on this one it's definitely, I think, the first note that I really pick out. Now it does sort of sit on this undertone of sweetness, and it does come off a little bit like vanilla, but not like a lot of the really high quality vanillas that I've smelled, like Wicked Good. I love that vanilla, but that is like 100% Madagascar vanilla, and I'm sure this one is not. But it actually has a little bit of a chalky vibe without being powdery, but there is something there that gives off that sort of that impression. But that woodiness is very, very prominent, and really the sweetness of the vanilla is underneath that, so it's very dominated by the woodiness. And the woodiness, it comes off, it's not like a really rough kind of oud, but if you think about fragrances like Blackmail or Oud Wood, where you have a woodiness, a woody quality that doesn't really smell like a rough oud or even medicinal or leathery, but it does smell different. So it's something that smells different than, say, cedar wood, or pine, or like a fresh cut log, or any of those other kinds of wood that you often get. Now it doesn't smell exactly like that wood, but what it does have is this woody vibe that does smell like a different kind of a wood. So what exactly they're using as a oud note, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea, but it does have some quality to it that definitely distinguishes it from other woody fragrances. And so, yeah, I'm definitely getting this composition of a woody, slightly sweet, almost chalky kind of a vanilla fragrance. But I'm going to let that one sit. Hopefully it will dry sometime. You can still see it there. Sometime in the near future, because that is just all over the place. I'm going to try now the Creed Sublime Vanille. I'm not going to say I have high expectations for this fragrance, but I do have fairly high expectations for this fragrance. And often I find that high expectations can ultimately ruin a fragrance because, when I first tried Aventus, I expected it to be life-changing. Like it was going to be the most amazing thing that I ever smelled. And there is no fragrance that's really going to ever live up to that level of hype. And so for me, it was kind of underwhelming. And I always find that, or I find oftentimes that fragrances I don't set a very high expectation for, that I often get I'm more likely to be blown away. So as much as I can control it, I definitely try not to set my expectations too high. So, okay. That is fairly strong because I definitely got some of it in the air, and I feel like there's a floral component here. There's definitely something citrusy in there as well. I would probably guess something like bergamot, but definitely a very citrusy vibe with, I mean, it's not to me in your face vanilla right now, but it is still the opening phase. And I'm definitely getting blasted with a lot more of those citrus compounds. And I feel like there's a little bit underneath that, a little bit of a vanilla kind of developing. But again, I'm not picking up anything crazy, nothing in your face. And certainly not something that reminds me. I mean, for me, the bar, or one of my favorite vanilla dominant fragrances is actually Wicked Good. You know, it opens up with this chocolate, but that chocolate only lasts about an hour, and then you get this really beautiful toasted vanilla. It's very simple, but it is very enjoyable, very pleasing. And I don't find that a lot of vanilla fragrances really, to me, line up with that one or match up. That's a very nice, unique toasted vanilla in the base that you don't really get in a lot of things. I am definitely getting a sweetness, sort of, so it comes across kind of like a kind of sweet bergamot right now, which is interesting because, you know, bergamot, pure bergamot, if you smell, or something that's modeled after pure bergamot is something like bergamot 22, and it's not sweet at all. So, I mean, it does feel like there's something else in there, like orange or something as well. Not that I pick it up, but just something about the citrus in this fragrance that comes across as a little bit more robust than just bergamot. That does feel like there's something else here, but I really don't know what it is. Interesting. I'm going to go back to Aoud Vanille, see if it's changed, see if it's developed. Still drying on my skin, as you can see. Whoa, okay. That is developing a little bit, so I'm definitely getting a little bit of a spicy vibe, in fact. There's definitely something there that's a little bit sort of a woody, spicy vibe, which is actually really, really nice. So this one is developing to me in a positive direction, something that I enjoy. It came across, you know, right on the opening as woody, with that little base of vanilla, but there was something flat about it. And this spiciness adds a nice dimension. I'm still getting a little bit sweetness, and it feels like there's something else, like a fruits or a sort of citrus vibe there that's giving it a little bit of a kind of candied feel. I still get a little bit of vanilla. It's not super strong. I still get a little bit of the vanilla, but it's not coming across as chalky as it was in the opening. It's just sort of there underneath. Very, like, it is still muted in my opinion, but it isn't chalky, which is actually kind of a nice improvement as well. But it is coming across as a spicy, sweet, woody fragrance, which is actually quite nice. So I know Mancera has a lot of fragrances, and it's always very hard to figure out what you want. But if you do find something you like, I think it's always, you get very, very good value. So Mancera tends to perform very well and last a very long time, and you can get them for a really good price, sometimes cheaper than you know, a designer fragrance. I got this spicy Aoud here. I think I only paid like $60, I want to say, for this. I might have paid less. Now it's a 50 ml, but even still, I know there's plenty of designer fragrances that for a 50 ml you'd pay less than that. And of course I got Oud Amazing, which I think I spent about $70 or $80 on this one. It might actually have been on sale. I think it was on sale for a Black Friday for like $60. Very cheap as well. So like I said, you get good value if you find something you like. But that's actually really, really nice. I almost want to say the spice is something like a saffron. Gives me the impression of like a saffron and wood, but again, I really don't know. But that is developing a little bit nice. It's getting sweeter, with a little bit of that spiciness to give it depth. But I'm going to go back to the Creed Sublime Vanille, see how it's starting to unfold. I definitely think there's like maybe lemon in this. So it's still quite citrusy up top. It's a little bit sweet, but I also get the impression with this one that I would have to smell it as a dry down, because I think sort of the whole point of the composition is the vanilla. And vanilla is a base note. That doesn't mean you can't pick it up right away. But for it to do what it's mostly going to do in the fragrance, a lot of times you have to wait until it starts to dry down to really get those lovely facets that it can bring to a fragrance. But yeah, I definitely get a little bit of like a lemon candy or something like that, which is pretty interesting. It has that little bit of sweetness to it, and it has, like I said, a bit of a candied lemon. Nice overall. There is something familiar about the Aoud Vanille. I mean, I don't know if it sounds crazy to say something like Baccarat Rouge 540, and probably is, but I think it's just something about that spicy sweetness that is very familiar. So I'd say at least it doesn't come across super original, but it is nice. It is nice. In either case, I think I'm going to end it there. At least for preference right now, the one that I enjoy the most, Mancera Aoud Vanille. It just seems a little bit more complex, a little bit more robust, has a lot more going, and it is developing a little bit nicer. Honestly, both of them kind of I mean, I think the Aoud Vanille could be a little bit more formal if you want it to be. But just, something that's, I feel like, yeah, formal or a night out kind of fragrance, just because it is coming off with that spicy sweet vibe quite a bit. That being said, also, I mean, you could wear it in the daytime if you want, but definitely it is a fall winter fragrance because it is getting fairly sweet. Creed Sublime Vanille. Maybe it is one of those fragrances that is better for layering because it just comes across very straightforward and simple, kind of a sweet citrusy fragrance, which is nice, but it isn't wowing me. But again, this might be one of those sort of expectation effects that, of course, definitely happen with these kinds of things. Anyways, that's it. I'm going to cut the video there, guys. Have you tried either one of these fragrances? What's your favorite Creed? What's your favorite Mancera? Leave a comment down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.